Live.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, ones and all. We're late.
Yeah.
The long story which we're not going to go into, but black handbags matter. I'm assuming it's a black one anyway.
Probably, yeah.
You'll get the joke later, for those of you who don't look anyway. We're here. So, hi Bridget. I want to talk about what I call, did I say it was a black identity crisis or identity crisis?
Said black identity.
There's some statistics that we all know about, but there's probably some which are a bit more surprising. And it's kind of there that I want to stick at because we have an issue that I think speaks a lot about where we're at with what's going on. Racism is the hot topic, and everything now is related to race.
Yeah.
And some people are using that as an excuse to behave bad because they were behaving bad already. And that has been the problem, or they use it as the excuse to then point the finger at people and say, yeah, this is because I'm black.
Yeah.
And that's why you're treating me differently. That's why these things are happening to me, etc., etc. But that's actually not really necessarily how it goes. Statistically, just for a little bit of information, in this lockdown period, the police have been going crazy. And I think we know that in general, but let me give you some of the statistics. Then I'm going to go backwards from the statistics and say what I think is the reasoning behind it. So here's what the police have been doing. Metropolitan Police, who are probably, in terms of their behaviour towards black people, are probably the worst police force in the country. They, during the lockdown period, carried out 22,000 searches on young black men. So, the commissioner for the Metropolitan Police has been questioned, and she said, no, it's not alarming, for the following reason. And what she said actually is the truth. Basically what they've said, 30% of all young black males in London have been stopped and searched during this lockdown period. They carried out, as I say, 22,000 roughly in total. And the figures that she gives say this. Statistically, countrywide, young black men are nearly 10 times, which I think is 9.6 times more likely to be stopped than whites. In Dorset, it's 25 times more likely. And the Metropolitan Police Commissioner said this. She said 72% of homicide victims under 25 were black. That's true. And the black people are 4 times more likely to be the victim of homicide and 8 times more likely to be the perpetrator. All of that is true. So, and then of course there's the thing about knife crime, etc., etc. So that's where we're coming from. That is it an identity issue or is it a black issue? So anybody who's listening and anyone who you tell, join in, chime in, say what you think, because I'm going to say what I think. Both of us are going to say what we think. We're going to talk about identity. I put it across as defending the ends because I'm going to talk about the gangs issue, because I believe that the gangs issue is an identity issue. And they termed the thing as black on black crime. I've not heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, and anybody who's listening, if I'm wrong, but I have not heard the term white on white crime. So People who know me well, they know that sometimes I post things, and if you don't know, you'll think, oh, he's in agreement with this. What is he trying to say? I post things to be emotive on Facebook so that I can provoke people to think and understand what is it that we need to look at here. So the issue then is the question: is there such a thing, or why is there such a thing as black on black crime? Yet they don't term white on white crime. Is it just crime? When we talk about gangs, they generally start talking about blacks or blacks and Asians.
Yeah.
However, I think you'll find, if you know very well, that most of these gangs actually have people of all colours in them.
Yeah.
They have black, white, and Asian in the gangs, male and female. But there is a mindset that it's just a black thing. If they said it was a youth thing, I could agree.
Yeah.
Because the statistics even show that across the board, there's only about 1% difference between blacks, between Asians and other minorities and whites in terms of positive outcomes from stop and search. And what they mean by positive outcomes is that when they've searched these young men in particular and young people, that they've actually found things as knives, guns, and or drugs, etc. And the statistics are basically similar all across the board, black, white, or Asian. But yet, in terms of searching and who they pick out to search, they target black youth more than anybody else. But the other side of it, these are all the things that I'm putting out there up front, and then we'll start talking about them, and whoever else wants to say whatever they're going to say, they will do. But the other side of it is that when it actually comes to the statistics of who's dying, young black men are killing each other, and it's a reality. Now, they call it black on black crime. I don't call it black on black crime, which is why I've used the term that I did, defending the ends. And defending the ends is not about black or white, it is about the ends, and it's about who's in your ends, who comes from your ends, and it is about identity.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we need to come from with the whole issue. If you look into this on a deeper level, which most people don't bother, they just start jumping up and down about Black Lives Matter and white people are racist and they don't like black people, and actually that isn't really what this is all about. Because when a black youth has stabbed to death another black youth, how do you bring a white person in the middle of that and say this is a white man's fault? And some people are still doing that, say yes, it's still the white man's fault that these two black youths stabbed each other because of it, historically from years ago. Please, let's not go there. It's nice to be able to mix the narrative, but it's not the truth. So what we need to do is to actually look at the truth and talk about the real issues. Why are black youths so happily, and there are quite a few, carrying some very serious weapons? If anybody who'd seen the picture that I put for Facebook, all those weapons are real stuff that people have. Some with real guns as well. There's axes and all sorts of serious butchering knives there. And these young guys are walking the streets every day with those type of things. Now that's not just a black thing, actually.
No, it's not.
There's lots of white youths also, whatever you want to call them, whether they're Romanians, Gypsies, white British, etc.
Yeah.
They're all Asian. They're carrying these knives and stuff. And the main thing that they say is fear, because others are carrying them, and others are prepared to use them, so they need to be tooled up as well. And that's basically what it's about, that they're tooled up because the others are tooled up. Now, social commentators have jumped on the black and white issue, and they're using that as a reasoning for black and white thing, the black and white thing, and this is it's racism, and this is why it's happening. Well, no, it's not as simple as that. Then you've got others who have said that it's to do with poverty. and to do with the issues of identity. And that's probably more
Yeah.
the reality of it. Because at one point in time, Glasgow and surrounding areas was the highest knife crime rate in the whole of the UK. The majority of those people in Glasgow and surrounding areas were white, and they're killing each other. They were killing each other there, knifing each other to death there, and they were white. But yeah, I didn't hear the term white on white crime. But when it comes to black people, they like to exacerbate the issue by calling it black on black crime. And we also, unfortunately, as black people, we jump into that.
Yeah.
And we start using the same terms that we're given to use. Crime is crime. And what we've got to understand that there is a mentality behind gangs which doesn't have anything to do with colour. Similarly, a bit like football hooliganism, back in the day, at least not so much nowadays because they've got CCTV, they get caught out a bit more than they used to. But back in the day when they never used to get caught out by CCTV, football hooliganism didn't really follow the lines of colour. It followed the lines of which team, which gang was yours. And this is what people have to understand about the socialisation of young people. Because there is an issue about identity that is not being addressed, and it's being swept under the carpet because of the issue of this black and white thing. And especially for black people, who I'm talking to not only, but mainly, we need to wake up to that. Because otherwise, we're going to miss the point. We're going to keep on jumping up and down about racism, white people don't like us, blah, blah, blah. And it's not really got much to do with that sometimes. Because, like I say, if you look at it from other angles, when you join the right gang, everybody's cool because you're in the right gang. So it does have to do with identity. And like I say, I know for sure, you know, I can talk about one particular well-known football hooligan from the past, Cass Pennant. Cass Pennant, everybody who knows anything about football hooliganism, they know the name and they know who that guy is. You might not know who I'm talking about. You'll have to Google him.
No.
But, you know, it wasn't a race issue with people like him. It was a football issue, straightforward. Now, the issue that we have now is that our young people who are defending the ends, as I call it, carrying knives and doing what they're doing, it has to do with identity, most definitely. And it's not, you know, the police, particularly those who are racist, are using it as an excuse. Oh, well, you know, black people are more likely to kill each other, they're more likely to be killed, etc., etc. Well, statistically, in terms of murders across the country, 71% of the murders are white. So, you know, we don't want to see anybody die, whether they're black or white or whatever. But if you look at the statistics, it's because they take statistics and throw them into one pot and make you think that that's the flavour, right? But that's not exactly how it is. But the issue that we have as black people in terms of our identity, we need to fix that anyway, right? Tamar is, you know, a youngster compared with me, but now when she'll talk in a minute, I'll tell you about her experiences. We did touch on it before about the blacks thing with the Africans and Caribbean. It's an issue that with the ladies takes a different dimension than the guys, but with the guys they take it on a very serious level.
Yeah.
You see? So talk about that a bit.
Well, you know, we have spoke a little bit about this before in our other video, just talking about obviously the identity crisis that is very real within the black community. And, you know, it's to the point where people don't even want to, what's the word? People don't want to date somebody or take them seriously because they're not from the same country or because they're not from the same tribe or because
Tell them where your grandmother comes from, just so they know, so they understand that for us racism is not an issue.
Well, my grandma is Italian, so I have Italian family and she lives there and everything.
So she's a white lady.
So she's white, yeah. And I have white aunties and white cousins, etc. I have white family and I have black family. I even have Indian family.
Mhm.
So, you know, for us, it's strange when you go somewhere and people are acting funny about, you know, because they're looking at your family and they're thinking, this is
Who are
strange.
these?
Yeah, whose family, who is who, and what's what? Because we all look maybe different. And you know, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I went with my brother, my foster brother, Graham. I went to my auntie's house, and we were getting on the bus, and this boy.
And Graham is white.
Yeah, Graham is white, and this boy made a comment, said something about, "Oh, is that your girlfriend?" And I said, "No, he's my brother." And then he said, "Oh, he can't be your brother. What are you talking about? He's not your brother." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? Why is he not my brother?" And he said, because he can't be your brother." And I said, "Well, why?" I said, "Is it because he's white?" Then he was like this. And I just said, "Oh, shut up," and went to get on the bus. Then he started shouting abuse at us out of nowhere. But you see, this is exactly
The white
thing
man.
with some young white
Not
man.
even any of his business in the first
Not his
place.
business in the first place, and this is the point I'm making. That
And if it was black guys that he had done that to, they'd be there kicking him down.
well, if
And you see,
Zakai
this
was
is the
there,
this is the problem. Zakai, her
Yeah.
brother, my son, would have kicked him up. And
yeah,
there's
he
no
would
two
have,
ways about
straight
it.
away. Yeah, because why are you chatting rubbish like that? And I've had it another time as well. You know, I've been with my cousins, one who's half Indian and another one who's more white than me. So she looks more white, and of course the other one looks more Indian style features or whatever. We all have different features. And the guy said, "Oh, what are you all cousins? Are you all family?" And we said, "Yes, we are." This was when we went out one time in
Clubbing.
Bedford. Yeah, clubbing. And he said, "What? Oh, you're all family?" And we said, "Yes, actually we are. We're cousins." Then he said, "Oh, what a weird family that is. You lot are all weirdos." And I said, "Well, why? Because we don't look the same. I don't understand it." And if something as simple as that, family members not looking the same, can make people react in these ways, then you have to understand how deep the identity crisis really runs, because people seem to think that even as a family, you're all supposed to be looking the same. How is that possible? Everybody, even people who have the same mum and dad and everything, live
They
in the
don't
same
all-
yard, they're
yeah.
not all looking the same. So I don't understand it. When you obviously dig deeper into that, then you do find that, like high school, there's a big issue there when it comes to identity, because a lot of people don't really understand how they're supposed to act or what they're supposed to do or what's going to be. Because, you know, it's a lot of, if you do this, you're a weirdo. If you don't do this, you're a weirdo type of behavior in high school. And I think that fuels a lot. I think that's where the whole identity crisis a lot of the time fuels from. I think it fuels from high school. It's what's the word? It's born in high school, I feel like, because a lot of people, yeah, like I said, they find it hard to maybe fit in with other people at school, because people seem to have a persona when it comes to school, because I don't know who's told them or who started this, but you know, these certain things are cool and certain things are not in high school. So you know, if you've got a bag and it ain't the most popping bag, or you're a freak, because your school bag ain't posh and it ain't fresh or something like that. And maybe you don't have the money to buy no fresh bag. Yeah. So, but then, oh, you're a freak because of that. But that's nothing within your
Power.
Yeah, that's
Or
nothing
ability.
within your power or ability to change or sort out. You can't help what bag your mum is giving you for school or what shoes she's giving you, can you? If you're only 12 years old. But these are the things.
And that's the poverty issue coming into play.
And that's the poverty issue.
And that's not a colour issue.
No,
and
not at all.
Contrary to what people are believing, that becomes, maybe at least for the UK, that now becomes a black issue. It isn't. It's a poverty issue, which is an issue that covers so many children from so many different areas, and they will exhibit the same kinds and types of behavior,
Yeah.
which is why then lots of the young men get to a certain age and they jump into gangs. And this is part of the reason why they jump into gangs, because somebody else will be showing them, look, I've got a nice pair of trainers, I've got a nice tracksuit, I can have different things, do you know how I got them?
Yeah.
And then they begin that discussion and conversation. Well, my family doesn't have, my mum is alone, single parent, etc., etc., and this is how it is. And you know, these guys, they start from very early to groom younger guys to join the gangs.
They'll be as young as like 10.
And they start with very small, insignificant things, like buying them chicken and chips.
Yeah.
Seems weird, but it's the actual reality of what goes on. Yeah, you've always got, oh, you're hungry, take this and go and buy yourself something. And then the next step after that is, I've got a little something I want you to do for me. You
Carry
see?
this bag to here.
Do this, go collect this from here and bring it back to me. And if you do that, I'll give you £10, I'll give you £20.
Yeah.
And this is how it rolls on. And part of the reasoning why that's happening is because they're looking for somewhere to identify.
Yeah.
And some of it's because they can't identify with anybody even in their own household. Or nobody knows. You know, they don't know who they are from their family roots because they don't talk about those things and appreciate their family.
Yeah.
And the family doesn't appreciate them. So they start on the street with their friends to find somewhere within that context of where they can identify. So it can be all of their friends who are from a certain area. Sometimes ones who go to a certain school, live on a certain street. And this is what I mean by when they start talking about defending the ends, because now that becomes their ends. And they identify with their ends because that's where they live. They identify with those people because that's where they live. These are the people I grew up with, etc., etc. A very serious topic for me, which I will talk about plainly and openly, is my own son. My own 19-year-old son, I may as well call him.
He's 19 in a minute.
You know, and he's in prison, serving a prison sentence for drug dealing. He has had everything in life. This is his sister here, so she can tell you what I'm saying if it's so. He has had everything. He's been spoiled by his mum, he's been spoiled by his dad, he's been spoiled by his stepmother, he's been spoiled by his older sisters, he's been spoiled by his grandparents, and yet still, it didn't stop him from identifying with the street. Now, some of the reason behind that I don't want to go into because it's very personal, and I do believe that there are some issues that could have been dealt with differently, and it may have changed some of that. But the point is, there came a period of time when he got to a certain age where he now wanted to begin to look for identity outside of the home, which it happens. Young men get to an age where they actually want to, you know, spread their wings, if you want to call it that. So he's decided, well, these are my friends, I grew up with them. These are guys anyway that he's known since he was a baby. Since he was running around in Pampers and stuff like that. Some of these guys are the same ones who've been on the street. Now, at the time, some of them were older. So as they've grown up and they've become gangsters and drug dealers, they're making money, they're banging guns. He's looked at them and thought, wow. And then when they're talking about what they've done. They're talking about how they got into it, how much money they're making, and how easy it is. And because they're in their ends, as they call it, where they're amongst all their own people, they're comfortable in that environment. So my son also became comfortable in that environment. Because I'm telling you, because of where he grew up and what we've seen on the streets where we lived at that time, there's nothing that he hasn't seen. We've seen men shooting at each other. He's seen that since he was a baby. He's grown up seeing that. So he has become desensitized to such things.
Yeah.
As a child, when he was a child, there's a man who was shot through his head, and the car was parked across the road from our house, with the man sitting in the car with the bullet straight through his head. These kids have grown up seeing these kind of things where we were. And for those who don't know, who might be from elsewhere, I'm talking about Chapeltown in Leeds. And back in the day, Chapeltown was hot. It's kind of cool now.
Yeah, it's cool.
But back in the day, Chapeltown was hot, and there was lots of gunmen around, especially Jamaicans. It was a holy for them. My son has seen all of these things as a child growing up. He's seen guys who have been knifed, who have been shot in their legs. So as a child, even though we've done our best to an extent, his mother and I split up, but we've done our best to an extent to try to push him in the right direction. But he's identified still with the streets because he's identified with these guys who he's grown up with from day dot.
Yeah.
Knowing that even some of them are the ones who have done these crimes, but that's who he's identified with. And you see, the other side of this that we black people especially don't want to talk about is this issue of don't snitch.
Yeah.
You know, this black people have this code amongst them. Too many of them anyway. Trust me, I'm not one of them. Believe me, I'm not one of them, and I'll talk about some of that in a minute. But don't commit a crime near me, in front of me, or around me, and believe that this man will keep his mouth shut, because I won't. I don't care even if you're my son, I'll not keep my mouth shut. If you commit a crime and you should be arrested and go to jail, trust me, I'll talk. I will not keep quiet. But there are too many black people that do, and this now allows the establishment to jump on and push all these things onto us as their agenda.
Yeah.
Black on black crime and all these foolish statistics, because they think we don't care and we don't know. You see, or they think that we're not even just complacent, complicit is what they think, that you're part of it.
You're part of it.
You see? And the problem is that too many won't say anything. So they know sometimes who's murdered who. They know who has stabbed who. Right? But because it's a man from the ends,
they're not going to say anything.
Everybody's mouth is zipped. You see?
Not
but
even though
it's zipped until it turns on its head. And you know, I can talk about so many young men I know who have lost their lives through this same foolishness. And losing their lives, yes, some of them have lost them, they're buried 6 feet under. Some of them have lost their lives because they've been given a life sentence in prison. You know, but either way, it practically literally amounts to the same thing. Of course, we would prefer to see a son locked up in prison than to see him buried in a box. But you see, this is the thing. You're defending your ends, right? You're defending your blood, you're defending your gang, you're defending your crew, you're standing up for your crew, you'll die for your crew, you'll live for your crew. Who is your crew? Who are they really to you, and what does that actually mean? And these are some of the things that I believe that we're not really addressing. And I think that if we jump up and down too much just talking about white people being racist, we're taking away from the reality of what we need to look at, which is what's going on in the black family and in the black community. That's what we need to really look at. Never mind about the racism of the white man or not, whatever was and is, we've dealt with it till now. For all the years that the black people have been on this earth, we've been strong enough to deal with whatever we had to deal with. But one of the issues that we need to deal with and we don't is our own families. We are overlooking what's going on amongst them. And you see, I'm one of those, I'll talk plainly. Some people will be like, "Ooh, man, this guy talking about his son so plainly and openly." Me, I wouldn't be saying too much. Yeah, I'll tell you. Because the good parts and the bad parts are still real. So why should I not talk about the reality? And should I not tell you, so that if you were even in my position and your son hasn't got there yet, you might learn something in the midst of it. What's going on. Because now we have a very spoiled boy. He's not a boy now, he's a man anyway, 19 years old. But because he's hard-eared, he can't listen. And because he chose not to identify with his family in terms of us, but now them boys on the street, they become his family. They become his blood more than me, who is father, who's a law-abiding citizen, never gone to jail for nothing at any time. He doesn't want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
But he's listening to his crew on the street.
The
Nah, you'll be all right. Don't worry, man. You can manage it. So you're now seeing, you know, let me just give you an example of him. This is a youth. My son, at 18 years old, has got 2 cars. Right? He's never worked in any job in his life. He's 18 years old. This is giving you this as a scenario. He first had a little small, what was it? Ford something, some little small Ford
just a little
car.
like first car.
And he's driving it. I said, cool, that's all right, you know, because we know nowadays they've even made insurance very expensive. And this is what I try to tell him. So my man is on the road doing his thing, and I'm asking him, what are you doing? I'm just out with the guys, you know, on the ends in the hood. I said, in the ends in the hood doing what? No answer. And this is going back from some years when I've fought him and I've taken all kinds of weapons away from him, knives, axes, daggers, all kinds of stuff. And my man is still on the road in the ends.
Yeah.
So now he's out there doing what he's doing. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail because I don't know who's listening, and we're not admitting anything that he hasn't admitted to. So he was on the road doing what he was doing, whatever that was.
We don't know.
Right? We don't know what he was on the road doing, but he was on the road doing something.
Yeah.
Which required him to be tooled up with a variety of knives, axes, even shotgun. Right? Where the shotgun is, I don't know, but I'm just saying what I hear from the ends. Now, this is all reality. This is right here where I live. This is not a fairy story of somebody else. This is my own youth I'm talking about.
That's only him.
Right? And that's him one. And my son, I know how he is and I know who he is. Because I know who I am. And I know I don't take crap from anybody. And I know he doesn't. And I know his temper and I know all of this. But he's only one out of many blacks or whites who are of a certain age who are not having it. They're not taking it. Now, you see, here's the thing. When they start talking about the criminality and so on and behavior of young people, they like to target the blacks.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm talking to you about my son who is black. But I could also be talking to you about a son who isn't black, and he'd still be my son. But let me tell you this. Right here, where we are in Leeds, she can tell you where she's living currently. They classify it as a white man's area.
Yeah, that's a white
right?
Area.
Proper, what I call it Chav City. Right? So those who understand me, you'll get me. That's what I call it. I call it Chav City. Right? In that area where she lives, right? I dare the police if they think they're bad. Right? The other day, just a couple of months ago, police went there.
Yeah, this was like just a while. Not
because this is the issue that we've got to understand, that there is much of an us and them situation, and it's not really a black and white thing.
No.
It's about those who feel that they're in power and those who feel powerless.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's what we've got to look at. We need to kind of start sliding out away from this black and white thing, from the color thing, because it clouds your judgment and you're not going to see some of what you need to see. These guys, these police went there into the white man's area to sort out a domestic. You must be joking. They burnt out the police car, stoned the van until the police had to retreat. And it's pure white man living in that area.
And they didn't try again.
Right? And the police didn't go back.
They would just kept on kicking up.
Right? And you don't see any national reporting of what went on there.
Yeah.
And trust me, it was a big thing because the house where they went to, one of the houses there, the whole house is burnt out.
Yeah.
Right? The people had to move out from that yard. And the whole place is boarded up. They mashed out the whole of the place.
Yeah.
That's a total white man's area, and that's white young people that did that. Right? And that's only one of the times. There are plenty of other, and the police don't rush. They don't rush running in there.
No, they don't.
And you guys who are not privy to such things. You're not hearing about that nationally or internationally. But if it was a black man's area, a black man's thing, you're going to hear about it, and you're going to have people jumping up and down. The Uncle Toms and the coconuts will start jumping up and down about black issues and all of this. They need to stop. They need to stop, because they're trying to fool people, right? As if crime is crime, and that's what you have to understand. And those who want to say that they're defending their ends, it doesn't have anything to do with color. It has to do with you and your ends, who you identify within there. And that's why I'm telling you about this area that I call Chav City here in Leeds, where the police can go there and they'll mash out the whole of the police.
Yeah,
they can't go there.
Time. It ain't just a one-time thing. This is any time the police tries to come there, just if there's something going on, let's say, you know, between the residents or the people in the neighborhood, the police are not allowed to get involved, whether someone has called them or not. It don't matter. And if they try to come there, they're doing the same thing every time. They don't care. You don't even see like just one police officer on his own ever come to that area either. That's another thing. They always got, you know, some sort of backup, because I don't know, they hate the police. And that ain't nothing to do with being black. They're all white. It's just they're defending their ends.
That's right, defending their ends, and this is what it is. And also, they're defending themselves against what they feel are those who are more powerful and who sometimes, quite often, abuse their power. And we know that the police do, and we also do know that police abuse their power with black people generally more than they do with white people. We know that.
We know that,
if we talk about that as an issue, we know for sure that generally speaking, the police will see and perceive black people as more aggressive than white people.
Yeah, they do.
So if you have a perception in your mind that before you even engage with this person, they are more aggressive, they're more likely to be resistive, and they're more likely to be violent, it changes the mindset that you have in how you're going to start to deal with them from the beginning.
Of course.
And this is the excuse that they use as to why they then will handcuff young black men on the street and then search them.
Yeah.
And then white men will just be searched if they're going to be searched, and they don't handcuff them. And it's all those type of things that get somebody's back up, and they ask, well, why did you handcuff me? Why have you detained me to search me? And the policeman usually, oh, well, I don't know what you'll do. But it's to do with his own personal perception. That's side one.
Yeah.
But side two, and I've seen this myself so many times, is also the behavior.
Yeah.
Of how you deal with your encounter with the police. And that matters. And I keep saying this to young people, because, you know, I do take my time. Under the lockdown, it's been a bit more difficult, but I do take my time to talk to young people, especially the ones who are on the road. And I mean all, whether they're black or white or whatever, you know, because if they're on the road, roadman is roadman, whether he's black, white or Asian. And that's the other side of what we have to understand, because they don't call it a black roadman and a white roadman and an Asian roadman. Roadman is roadman.
Yeah.
And they're on the road because they're doing whatever they're doing. And the ends is the ends, and it's a black man's end, Asian man end, white man ends. They're all there.
Yeah.
You see, but now when you get it reported to you through the media and their statistics and through policing and crime statistics, they want to split it all.
Yeah.
And separate, you know, like this, the blacks here, the whites here. You know,
because they want to separate us all. I think it's easier for them to. It's easier for them to feed the narrative, feed what their agenda, what they want you to think, because that's what people have to understand when it comes to the media. They're not just, oh yeah, we're just giving you the news of the world and what's going on. No, they're strategic in what they feed you, because it's called program for a reason. They are programming you.
They're showing you a news program to program your mind, program your thinking, and program your responses.
So it's programming. Oh yeah, look, look at what this white person has done. Oh, you know, they'll be like when they were shown in America. The media are very strategic in America, more so than they are here. Here it's actually quite light, but there the programming is serious, right? They will literally, oh look, we're showing you a white person and they've done this and that, like when that white boy shot out the school and all this, and they show the police giving him water and, you know, treating him nicely, and then they'll show you another video of a black person and they're getting twisted up. Do you understand my point? My point. So then that, of course, then makes somebody who sees that, especially if it's a black person or somebody who's not, you know, not some white supremacist. If it's a black person, they're going to look at that video and think, oh, well, this is racist because why was the white person treated in a certain way? Hello? Why was the white person treated in a certain way, but then the black person was treated in another way? And that probably, the actual, but colour actually wouldn't have had anything to do with that. What that would have actually been is the actual police officer himself and how he deals with a certain person. That might not be to do with the colour, but of course they'll make it about colour, and this is the problem. But it's yeah, this is a problem with the media. They want to feed this agenda, and that's why there's this whole black on black crime. But then, like Dad said, there's no white on white crime, so why do we even use the term? But of course, it's once again to program those white people or other people, as Dad called Uncle Toms, etc., who already have a negative reaction or negative stigma towards black people, and this is just reinforcing it for them or encouraging it for them. Oh yeah, see what the media is showing me. Yeah, my stereotypical and what's the other word? Not stereotype, not race, prejudice. Yeah,
prejudice.
My stereotypical and prejudiced views are correct because this is what the TV is showing me.
That's what TV showed me.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
But that's why I use the term. That's why I use the term at the beginning. Defending the ends.
Yeah.
Because those people who choose to actually go out in the ends and look, you'll find it a little bit different, right? It's not exactly the way how people want it to look. And when I say people, I'm talking about those who are trying to manipulate the media and to manipulate the mindset. This whole thing of you know, black people are against white people are against black people.
It's rubbish.
Pardon my language for those who don't like it, but I can give it only one term, it's bullshit. Right? That's what it is. Straightforward. It is just that. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Because, yeah, when you go and you look at guys on the road, man and man will defend their ends because it's their ends. And that doesn't matter about color, it matters about the ends.
Yeah.
Right? And if they're of a certain gang or group, whatever you want to call it, they will defend that.
Yeah.
And they will defend who's in it. And I'm talking whether they're black or white or Asian. And most of the gangs, which a lot of people who talk all the fluff, they don't know nothing about any of this really. Most of the gangs have got all colors in there.
Yeah.
And they've got males and females. Now, if we actually want to start talking about why they are in gangs, now that's the real issue. About why are these young people in gangs, whether they're black, white or Asian, or male or female, then we can start talking about some of the stuff that they do in the gangs, like the initiations and all of that type of thing. Maybe we'll talk about it today or next week, whichever. Right? But there's a reasoning behind all of that, that this is about identity, you see? And the reasoning behind that they then say, oh, well, you know, young black men, they're killing each other, and it's an issue, and that's why we've got to search them. And you're telling them that. You're also basing it on the fact that you think that these young black men are idiots. Right? And this is also where the problem is. Because you think then that they don't know that you, Mr. Policeman, you want to search me and you want to find a knife on me. So I'm not an idiot, even though you think I am. So when you search me, you won't find the knife.
Yeah.
Right? But because I live in my ends and I know where to hide things, after you finish searching me, I'll go retrieve my knife
it. Yeah.
and do what I need to do with it and put it back.
Yeah.
Or I'll give it to some white gal who you won't search.
Yeah.
Right? So you'll search me and you'll search the other guys around me and we don't have anything. And when you're done and you're gone, the white gal will give it back to us. We do what we're doing with it and give it back to her to wipe and put away.
Yeah. Or to hold at her yard.
You see? Or to hold at her yard.
Trust me.
And this is what's going on.
They love that one.
Right? And this is the whole thing of what I'm saying. Same thing even these blacks, we need to search them because they're the drug dealers. Isn't it?
So what about the Asian man?
You don't have a clue.
On it. What about the white man?
What's the thing that one where you order your food, go eat?
Just
Uber Eats.
And everything there.
Listen, if the police can't wake up to what's really going on, you see, and they're looking, and they're only looking at black, and I'm not going to chat on here and give them information of what they should go and find out for themselves. But they're busy searching black young men on the road. Oh, you're a suspected drug dealer, ready.
Even the ones that are good boys.
And people are ordering pizzas and they're enjoying themselves more than they should. And that's all I'm saying. Right? Work it out. And the pizzas are coming from Asian man shops, white man shop, every
everywhere.
shop. You see? But they're just looking at one issue. And my point is that we, as black people, can be fooled into jumping into that and start jumping on about, oh, see the police, look what they're doing to us black people. They're racist, blah, 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 blah. Leave it. Let's not bother about that. Let's bother about the issue of identity. These black young men who are joining gangs and are calling them their fam and their blood, why?
Yeah.
Right? Let's not overlook some of this because that's where we need to be looking. So I saw something somebody had posted on Facebook, first generation Jamaican, and what he put, Jamaican roots. So he had a tree with a Jamaican flag pointing down, and then on top, British grown Jamaican roots. Now that's cool because he's first generation, so he can say that. But now the issue that we have is that second generation, third generation, fourth generation, who are not so sure about their connections, or my grandfather maybe is a Jamaican, or my great grandfather, some of them have never been to Jamaica, or which other Caribbean islands, or which part of Africa. Then the identity gets very mixed. Some of them, they've got maybe an Irish mother, and their grandfather. Their father was a first generation Jamaican, so their grandfather is a Jamaican. They've never been to Jamaica, they've never been to Ireland, right? You know, things like that. And then they're looking and saying, well, and then you have people asking them, where are you from?
And
now
England.
Ladies who are a bit more polite will maybe, say what they're saying. But now the guys are saying, I'm from the ends.
Yeah.
Which ends? And then you get back to this issue, you're not from my ends.
So we
right? So we can't be cool, and then they're clashing over a postcode.
That they don't even
own. That they don't own and they don't know anything about. Then some of them will be telling you, well, yeah, you're black, or you're so-and-so, you're a Jamaican, or you're African, or and they don't even know, they don't know the country, they don't know the culture. Some of them don't know anything about the food. More than that, they know Jamaicans eat curry goat and rice and peas, and they might know which shop to buy it from, but they can't cook it.
No, they can't cook it.
You understand? And then they don't identify as neither Jamaican nor British. There's no in between. They don't know where they sit. You go for a job, even the application form is trying to push you in a certain direction.
Yeah.
They want to know your ethnicity. Are you black or are you white? Fine. Then they okay, that's not enough.
No, it even
right?
deeper.
They don't want to just know if you're black or white. They want to know, are you
what type of
black are you? Are you British? Is it from Jamaican, African, Caribbean, or is it African, or what is it?
Yeah.
They want to go deeper. And now you see this youth who's maybe his dad is British born but black, his mum is British born but black. He's born here as well. He don't even know what they're talking about. He's like, I'm British.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, he's being made to feel like he's not British because he's black.
Yeah.
And they're asking you, where did you come from?
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, well, I came from here. I've been in the hospital up the road.
Yeah, that's why
You know, and people are looking and they're like, well, what do you mean? I
Yeah.
came from here like you.
That's why they say, what do you mean, ethnicity or what? You know, when people ask that question, when people ask, obviously, where are you from? I've already expressed how annoying it is.
I don't really appreciate it.
No one seems to understand, you know, that I can be more than one thing. So, you know, I can't be born in Britain and then also
Whoa! Lord have mercy. The thing one broke down for me.
Doing it again.
Whoa! Now you have to get that and push it back.
Yeah, get that.
Oh.
I'm just looking at it on my phone. Just moving around on the screen.
Oh dear.
But it's not. Oh, because the weight of it was leaning it back.
Yeah, we had it nicely balanced, so we just have to just stay.
Now it's all like focused on.
Yeah. Move down that way then.
Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying, yeah, you know, why is Sarah putting this comment?
About what?
I don't know.
Nerves,
I don't know what
nerves.
she means. She'll have to explain.
It might be delayed though, because my comment came through well late.
Yeah, I'm not sure what she
That's-
means.
I
Anyway,
think it's
go on
been
with
delayed,
what
but,
you're saying. Go on.
Yeah, I was saying that, you know, I've already explained about how people try to give me an identity issue, I should say, because it is their
Pull the
fault
lid down a little bit.
when they try to give me an identity issue, because
Yeah.
because you know, oh, I can't be more than one thing. So, you know, my dad is Jamaican, but then my mum is part Italian. I have Italian family, but then I'm also born in England. No, I can't be.
You know
all of
why
those
though?
things. I have
Because
to
you're
be-
brown, so they assume you have a white parent.
Yeah, that's mostly always the thing as well, but not even always, because some
And
black people.
by the way, she doesn't have a white parent.
No, I don't. No.
For those who don't know, just come this way a little bit. These
I can't be. You have to
these
be
are
your
both
chest.
of these are my daughters. I won't say the ages.
No.
She's old.
If I'm old, then you're
She's
wrong.
younger, and I'm older. Okay? Both of these are my daughters. They're not from the same mother.
No.
Got nothing to hide, so it is what it is, right? But they're from the same daddy,
Yeah.
so you know they get the good looks from me. But our point is that
God, don't let them hear you say.
now when people, what the mothers,
Yeah. You know what they'll be like.
when people start asking their stupid questions about the colorations and all of this kind of thing, you know, my dad was browner than her,
Yeah.
so
This is what I mean. Like, granddad was lighter than me. He was
Like them
more
light-skinned Asians.
red, and I'm more, I don't know, caramel or something. I guess I don't know. My tone is deeper than his. His was more red.
It was.
but you see,
He was like them light-skinned Asian man.
we don't get our identity from
From
this.
this, yeah. It's not from our color, and this is the thing. And lots of people always say, "Oh, well, who is your mum white or is your dad black?" And then they'll say, "Oh, your mum must be white then."
Why
No,
not?
If I
no,
say,
she's
"Oh,
not.
Yeah, you know,
She
my
must be,
grandma
you know.
She is
Italian,
not.
Yeah, your mum must be white, but she's not
No,
white.
she's not.
Actually, she's half. Get over it. I don't really see why it's a big thing. And you know, in school, that was like the main thing a lot of the time. Oh, where are you from? Yeah, but where?
From
You
here.
know what I mean? So I'd be like, oh, Leeds, or I'd be like, and then they'd be like, yeah, but I'd be like, oh, Bedford.
And
Yeah.
how come your hair is
It's
like this,
yeah.
and this is her hair?
Yes, it is.
Mm.
Yeah, but my hair is like this because I look after it. I don't just leave it to crust off. So if your hair is crusty, best believe it's your own fault. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna paint a different picture because that is the truth. Go on YouTube and you will find many women a lot darker than me. The darkest skin tone you can get, and
And
their
that's
hair is
long.
long down to their bum, and I'm not even competing with them. Even my level is crusty compared to theirs. Yeah, my hair is crusty, so it don't mean nothing about the color. But then they always, that's another
Make
thing,
it
they
an
always
issue.
say, oh yeah, you must be, I can tell that you're mixed race because you know your hair. But then I know people that are full black, and it ain't got nothing to do with that. Their hair is the same as mine, or even softer.
And don't
So,
blame
but I know some
that on the
people
white man.
Are
That's
actually
you.
mixed race and have got more tough hair than the blackest of black.
Yeah, that's the
So,
thing. That's
it's
the
nothing
thing.
to do with that.
It's got nothing to do with your skin tone or your hair or anything like that. And I think that was definitely something that a lot of black people grew up with in school and things like that. Oh, your lips are big. Oh, your hair is tough and afro and all these
But then
types
that
of
goes
things,
back
or
to
your
the
hair
systemic
doesn't look-
stuff though, because
It
they're
does.
still indoctrinating that now.
Yeah, they are still
You know, you're not allowed to have your
indoctrinating that
hair
now.
how it naturally
Because,
grows out of
you're
your
not
head.
allowed to have certain hairstyles. Certain things are not allowed.
Yeah.
So, like, say
The
girls
afro
in
is
school,
unkempt.
in school, girls used to have what they call braids,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
say maybe they'd have like a color in their braids. So
Oh,
they
yeah,
might
you're not
have like
allowed
a
no
dark
colour in
red
braids.
or something, or a blonde. No, you're not. They're not
Not allowed colours
They're
now.
not allowed these extensions.
Yeah, they said that.
They're not allowed unnatural colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I just made a complaint. I said to I said, well, what's going on with that girl there then? Because she looks like Ariel from The Little Mermaid with bright red hair. I said, is that natural? Then the woman is,
Yeah.
yeah, and they did this many a times, and they did it all the time to my friends. Oh, you're not allowed to have your hair like this.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to have your hair like that.
They're still doing
Lord
it.
knows what they would have done if someone had dreadlocks in that school, because
I know.
they wouldn't have been able to handle it. I don't think.
No.
I think they would have told them, oh, you have to cut them off or some rubbish,
They could
because
never.
that's the type of vibe that they were on.
Wasn't
you know
there
what I mean?
an athlete they did that to?
Yeah. This guy, he did wrestling.
They
in
wouldn't let him
America.
finish, would they?
And they wouldn't let him finish the tournament. They said, oh, he must chop off his locks.
Well, he
if
allowed
wants
that
to
anyway.
continue, and then he chopped them off like an idiot.
He allowed
Well,
that.
more for you, because you never should have chopped off your locks. What
For a wrestling match.
For a
I know.
wrestling match. Yeah,
Not that deep, man.
he would have done better if he actually said, you know what,
Stand your
I'm
ground.
going to use this as an example to show people, that you don't have to do these things to then all become successful or to be taken seriously. Because what has hair got to do with being taken seriously? I mean, if we're really going to get onto that, then let's look at Boris Johnson. What's serious about his hair? Tell me now.
But it's true though. This man is running the country.
Oh, my
and he looks
Lord.
And
like that.
he don't even put a brush through his hair in the morning. Comes out
It's
looking
a style, girl.
No, it's
Oh, it
not.
is right.
It's a lack of style.
Come out looking
Are you
green
finding a
sweat.
picture?
Yes, I'm finding a picture. Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh my
He's got the
Lord.
cheek to be-
Look at
Nah,
that.
every single time. What? Nah.
Even that, and that's on a good day, as you can tell.
Because of the
Yeah.
light.
Light.
And YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, the light is
Oh
not
my
good.
Lord. You have to go down there. You go.
Yeah. See, look, and that's on a good day. Yeah.
Wait, where's that one? Go back to the
So close.
Look at this. Yeah, and this is the man who's running our country.
Mm.
Yeah, people can't see people.
But you see, now,
I think it's taking so long
I
to
have a
open
que-
up
I
the
have a-
barbers and the salons, and he's got his hair looking like that.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
You know, in light of what you're saying, and obviously that part of what you're talking about, in a sense, is more of an issue for females than male.
Yeah.
Generally, I say generally because obviously there's the exception if you've got dreadlocks and things like that. You know, the issue of the hair is there that way.
Yeah.
But now the whole issue, this is my question. The whole issue of the identity, in terms of what we said about defending ends, where we started from talking about. My question is this: why do you think that young people end up joining gangs?
Wow.
I used to think that.
I know. I'm not.
Well, just say what you think.
Well,
Yeah.
do you want to go? It's not the same though. I don't think the same anymore. I used to think I knew what I thought, but then there's the issue of the brother. So,
Of our brother.
yes, our brother.
Your brother,
Yeah.
sorry. But we
So-
spoke about him. I think you heard what we said about him.
Um,
And I think that he still fits the picture. Yes, I
because
do.
he grew up there.
I think
That's
he
what
still
we were
fits the
saying.
picture because go
Yeah,
on,
I
you
suppose.
Tamar, you say how you see it.
Okay. Well, I think it is to do with. I think it could be a number of reasons. I think that's the first thing I'm going to say. So I don't think there's just one.
No, there's not just
particular
one reason.
Yeah, there's not just one particular reason. And I think, yeah, one of the main reasons, like we've already discussed, is the identity issue where a person doesn't feel like they fit in at school, they're not fitting in at home because their parents maybe are neglectful and they don't educate them, they don't interact with them, they just work and home and you do your own thing. I've made your lunch for school, like them type of parenting, and a lot of that parenting happens because I know firsthand from what my friends have told me and things like that, their mums and dads don't speak to them about anything beneficial. And I think when you're not getting taught anything at home, but then when you're going out with your friends and there's older people around that also live in that area, they're doing certain things or they're talking about certain things and you're learning. So even if it might not be learning the right thing, you're learning something.
You're learning whatever nonsense.
Yeah. And contrary to what people think, children do like to learn. They may act like they don't want to learn, but they do. They want new information.
Yeah, of course
all
they do.
the time.
Because everybody knows more than them.
Yeah, everyone knows more than them and they want to know more. So when they see someone, oh yeah, he knows more than me. Okay. When they see someone like, a gang person or whatever, oh yeah, he's he knows more than me. Let me follow what he's doing because he knows he's got the money, he's got the cars, he's got the phones, everything's good with him. Let me follow on that path. Then they may be also seeing, they're at home and like I said, their mum or their dad ain't doing jack. And if they are doing anything, they're doing some night shifts every minute, so they're never seeing them. Even maybe their job is not that good, so they don't have much money, which of course that ties into the next reason that I think it can come from, which is poverty. So when you've got poverty, especially because even looking like South Africa and places like that and India, the poverty is high. And look what's going on. The gang, the drug lords, as they call them, is high there because of same as Brazil. Anywhere where there's high poverty, you see there's a lot of crime, and that's because they don't know any other way to get themselves out of poverty. They only know, I'm gonna have to lie, steal, and do whatever to get out of this situation. They've seen other people that have maybe frauded themselves or stolen themselves out of poverty, and now they're no longer in the ends and they're not in the hood anymore and they're living lavish, and they see that and they think, yeah, this is what I want to get out of here as well. I don't want to stay here, or I want money, or I want
They think
cars.
the same's going to happen for them.
Yeah, they think the same's going to happen for them, so they look up to these other people who then people themselves are lost and don't even know what's going on in their own lives, and they already got their own identity issues, which is why there's nothing more important than what's happening out on that road. So you could have something going on at home, but if something pops off out there, never mind this one, I've got to go sort out that.
I think all them negative auras feed off of each other anyway.
Yeah, they do, definitely. It's all that negativity, it does feed off of each other. I think when people see, like I was saying before with the kids, when people see certain behaviors, like Dad said earlier, they get desensitized to it, which is even why do you think there's so many films with black boys? Any black person film, and it ain't about no slavery, and it's in the UK, what's the next thing they're doing it about?
Gangs
drugs,
and drug dealing.
and guns. Yeah. And why do you think? Because they want to desensitize people towards that narrative, so that even young people now who maybe there ain't even nothing going on with them, like we were saying about my brother, there ain't nothing wrong with them. They don't want for anything. They don't have no identity issues because more time they know who they are. They don't have poverty issues or anything like that. They ain't having really no issues at school. So I think when it comes to that one, it's either one of two things. One, they've been watching too much foolishness, and so then they think, yeah, this is cool.
So that
This is
becomes
it.
that. So that one then becomes a spiritual influence.
Yeah, spiritual influence, yeah. So they watch TV and they see, oh yeah, bad man, yeah, this side of bad man. You know, they wear their outfits. They wear their outfits and they're on the road. Yeah, this is a bad man. So there won't even be no bad man or even a real road man. They're the fake road man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're still on the road and they're still doing the foolishness. They're just fake ones. Then the other last reason, I guess you could say, is familiarity or when you are, when you've got like a relationship or a situation between people. So like what Dad was saying before about, friends. So they're all friends. They're all living.
Yeah.
They've all grown up around each other. They've all gone to the same.
Yeah. So they
same
have an
school.
allegiance. To
Yeah,
those
that's
people.
it. Yeah, they have like an allegiance, and then it becomes a thing where maybe somebody else or another group has challenged that group. Then the narrative of the group of being just friends then turns into gang, and then etc. It just gets worse.
And then they're defending their ends.
Yeah, and then they're defending their ends or defending their school or whatever.
But yeah, the sports day.
We were against Round Day. I couldn't stand that school, man. They were just too good. And they had this one girl, because when you're a sports person, you know who plays sports hard as well.
Yeah.
And there was this one blonde girl called Molly. Her name was, I even remember her name. And she was the same as me. So she was on every team. So every match I'm going to, she's there. I just got tired of seeing her face. But you see, even just small things like that is what creates these rivalries and foolish issues that people then carry on. So, that's what I think anyway.
Okay. That's good. So if we talk about the young person who is closer to heart to us, which is your brother, my son, and we would say that he wouldn't fit the typical picture of what they show. That this is somebody coming from poverty, deprivation, etc. And you know that there's no such thing. He's never struggled or suffered. This is why they're laughing. This is why they're laughing. He's never struggled or suffered in his life.
Not even for a second.
He doesn't know or have any clue about anything to do with struggle.
No,
he doesn't.
He doesn't.
And I'm going to say all of this
And that's
for
a
a
lot
reason.
to do with him being the last one.
And
as
we're
well.
putting all of this. I'm putting all of this out there because it might help somebody. It might not, but So because they try to put such things in a box that these guys are like this because they've gone through this, they've gone through that. My son didn't.
No.
And I'm saying it not just because I'm his father, I'm just speaking the truth.
Yeah.
These are his sisters, they'll tell you.
Didn't.
He didn't struggle, he was spoiled by everybody.
Yes.
He's had everything that he wanted, he's had,
Yeah.
and beyond, even twice over.
Yeah.
To the point,
And that's why you don't appreciate it.
everybody took care of him, everybody looked after him, everybody ran behind him.
Still till now.
Yeah.
And even till now, his older sisters, some anyway, they're still at it.
Yeah.
And
Even I.
the issue with him, I asked him once, and this, what is this all about? And his answer was very interesting. Because I looked at him and I said, listen, I'm going to tell you this as plainly as I can, the way I see it. I said, with no disrespect to these guys who are part of your gang, I'm not going to name the name of the gang because I don't want to bring I don't want to bring heat to anybody, right? But he's part of a certain gang here in the city, which is a proper thing. It's not a playtime thing, right? And they're not, and it's not fake by any means.
But I said to him, I know most of them guys. I said, many of them I've known them since they were small kids growing up, and some of them I've known them differently through their family and so forth. And I said to him, you're not like them. You haven't grown up like them. Here's outside. You haven't had the same life experience, struggle, or any of that. So what makes you follow them so hard? And he turned around and he said to me, because we all grew up together and we came from the same place. These are my friends. Right? And at that time, he wasn't so deep. Careful.
I know.
At that time, he wasn't so deep as to where he ended up getting to. So I was trying to get him to see a little further than just looking at these guys and identifying with them more than he does with anybody else. But this is part of the bigger problem and issue, that once these guys start to identify together with each other, they do that almost exclusively and excluding everyone and everything else. So they exclude even those who live in the same house with them. They exclude their own closer family members. If they used to even go to church, they'll exclude all of that out of it. Because now these gangs, these guys in the gang, they become their blood. Now, because we're just doing this as an open talk, we're not preaching or teaching per se, even though we are biblical based people. But I do just want to say this anyway, that the aspect of it that has been overlooked by many is the spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
And I think that until and unless we start to look at and challenge the spiritual aspect, we'll never beat this. We'll never beat it.
Yeah.
Why do I say that? I'll give you an example, which is an absolute 100% reality. This boy of mine, I call him the boy. He's not a boy, but I still call him my boy. That's what I've always called him, the boy. He's 19, but he's the boy.
He's the boy.
So now with this boy, when he first got arrested, we began to deal with it on a spiritual level, those of us who knew that we could. So we began to pray for him. We began to pray specific things about his sentencing and the future. So as it so happens, he, on the first time, escaped prison.
Yeah, because of the defense.
That wasn't good enough, was it?
And he escaped prison,
That
in
was-
his opinion,
No, it wasn't.
just by coincidence and all these other things. But we know that it was a spiritual matter. It was an answer to prayer. It was the fact that God had heard what we prayed for, and we had prayed for mercy, and we had prayed for him to learn something in the middle of that. Now, as it so happens, he escaped, and he wasn't jailed. He was given a suspended prison sentence, and obviously probation.
Yeah.
So now, while he's on probation, he decides to carry on doing the same thing. And like I said, for those who don't know, I'm not going to talk about it any deeper than that on Facebook Live, right? So, but you can go and look him up and find out the information. His name is Zachary
You can
Chambers.
Google him.
Google him and you can find out about him
Have you
and
done
what he's done or
Yeah,
not,
I've already seen it.
according
I
to the
didn't do
police. But here's what I do want people to know, and this is part of what I'm saying on a spiritual level, because there's certain elements that don't want us to speak about the spiritual side of things, and unless we're talking about it from the point of view of it's not Jesus. But as long as it's we who want to mention Jesus, they want us to keep quiet.
Yep. Whereas the connection's not matching
Well,
up.
the only person who I knew to pray to concerning my son's plight was Jesus. Jesus. I'm making sure that everybody hears that clearly. That is who I pray to. I didn't pray to Buddha or any other entity or any other spirit. I prayed to Jesus.
Yeah.
So did his sisters, mother, stepmother, and others. They all prayed to Jesus.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know some of what they may have said, right?
Why? What?
It doesn't matter. Whatever they've reported, it's public knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're saying what we're saying. Let's put the other
Oh,
charge.
first charge.
We're saying what we're saying because we want some people to understand, and if it helps somebody, praise God.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I want people to know, though. When he escaped prison the first time,
Yeah.
as far as he was concerned, now that made him a big man in his crew. And the crew treated him like he's a big man because, well, he must be clever enough because
Then
he
he
got
got
away with it. So he got gassed and carried on now with more rubbish.
And a lot of rubbish.
Now,
going on.
I'm only gonna say a couple of things because, like I said, I'm not exposing people's business,
We don't need to do that.
right? But this is what I want to say. He got to a point where there were certain things going on where he came to me because I made sure that my children could always come to me and talk about anything they want to. I might shout at them, but I shout anyway because that's just me. So they're used to it, you know, and they know, well, Dad's just shouting, but we can still talk to him. Right? So don't worry about the shouting. Once you know me, you know that's part of how it is. But I'm still going to allow you to talk, say what you want to say. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and we'll get to the result of it. You know, so, but that's good because it shows you the truth of how we can receive properly.
Yeah, it's better.
You know, so now here's what he came to me and he's telling me about some beef that was going on, and it was getting more and more serious
Yeah.
to the point where these are people who are from the same ends, but they don't identify.
Yeah, because there was a
Because
Yeah.
of the gang thing.
They don't
Yeah, it's the
identify
gang thing.
with the same gang.
Two different gangs.
Right? So there's two different crews. They're from the same ends, but they don't identify as the same gang. So now my son is coming to me and telling me that this beef is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So he's now asking me, what do I think? And I'm telling him the same thing, you need to allow it. Right? But he's not really listening, and I know he's not listening because now
No one needs more.
his hot head is taking over, and
It's Chambers head.
right, this Chambers head they call it, but you know. So that one is what he's using now, and he's saying, yeah, but this guy, you know, and I'm telling him blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, and he said he wants, and now when he came to me, and this guy said he wants to done me. Right? And I'm not going to take that light. I'm not going to take that easy. Right? So I'm looking at him and saying, yeah, he's just talking.
Yeah.
No,
No, he's not talking.
no. And now also, let me tell you, for those of you who don't understand the era that we're in, there was a time when young people would just talk.
Yeah.
But we are in an age, because of the wickedness that what's the word? That is so pervasive
Yeah.
in this earth, in this world, that when a young person says, I'm going to done him, they mean it. They're not joking. They are going to find some means to do what they said they will do. So now my son took that and he said, okay, good. So it's time now for me to tool up myself.
Yeah.
And that's all the information I'm giving you about tools. He said, time for me to tool up myself. So from I knew that he did that and he had certain things in place, I had to begin to pray differently. And I'm telling you this plain for those of you who understand me. Those who don't believe it, that's cool. That's your business. But those who understand me and know what I'm saying, this is what I did.
Yeah.
I began, and I didn't tell anybody else what I was doing. So whether they were doing the same or not, I have no idea. But me in particular, I began to tell God he must go to jail.
I was doing the exact I'm not
I'm
lying.
telling you.
I did the exact same prayer.
I began to tell
Yeah,
God
I
he
was.
must go to jail. He's my own son, but he must go to jail.
That's what I was praying.
Because I said if he doesn't go to jail now,
It's gonna
Gonna
happen.
die.
somebody is going to die on the road.
Yeah.
And I would rather that it's not him that dies, but I would also rather that it's not
Yeah,
him
yeah,
that
anyone else.
causes the death
Yes.
of somebody else. Now, I'm telling you all of this because you need to understand how serious it is. You see? Because some people take it as a light
It's a
thing.
light thing, yeah, but
And
it's
even I remember one time somebody had a conversation with me about my son. Ah, he thinks he's a bad man and he thinks he's this and he's that. And I said, listen, let me tell you something. You don't know him.
not. Yeah.
I said, be very, very careful about what you assume about him and his crew because they're wicked.
Yeah.
And hear what I'm saying. I'm talking about my own child. But I'm telling you like it is. And I told this person, don't fool yourself. Him and his crew, they are wicked. Don't pass your place with them and don't know what you're doing.
Well, that's a good-
Oh, they think they're bad man. They think they're this, they think they're that. I said, no. I said, because what you're not understanding
More than just
is
their
that
young ones.
it's not just
That's
them.
what they're not realizing.
There's others who are part of the crew who are older than them and have taught them and have told them what to do. As I said before, for those who would understand it, it is a spiritual matter also.
Yeah.
So there are spirits at force. And I knew that there was a spirit of murder that was released. Because my own son is coming to me and he's telling me that he's dreaming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the dream.
He's dreaming of having murdered people. And I said, no. I said, God put him in jail. Take him off the road. Take him off the road.
Yeah.
Now, some people would say, oh, you know, how could you, why are you even praying such? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, he wasn't listening.
Because
how many
he
years
couldn't hear
are we gonna
anything.
go through to try and tell him?
And I already know the point that he was at. If it had stayed like that and they continued down that road, it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
You see? And now, our biggest problem, as I said before, is that people want to pretend that it's not like that. So black people in the
Even at the
community
funeral,
are not talking about this the way that they should. So what would have happened now, had I not known to pray the way I prayed and believe that God would answer my prayer and jail my own son to keep him from either being killed or killing someone, had I not known that, I would have to now wait for the funeral, which would have either been my son's funeral or the funeral of the person he had killed, and he now was sitting in jail waiting to be sentenced. And if you think that what I'm saying is rubbish, let me tell you about the August before. August of last year, 2019, Carnival. So now here's the story, and everybody who knows, they know this is how it is. Every carnival in Leeds every year, and Leeds Carnival is the second largest in Europe.
Yeah.
It's massive, right? Every carnival in August, something always kicks off.
Yeah.
But not only just that, for those who know, they know that every carnival, Manchester crew deliberately roll tooled up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I say tooled up, let me explain to you who don't really understand. And again, if you want to see what I'm talking about, go and Google. The evidence is on the internet. I'm not lying about anything. Every year, Manchester man, they come to Leeds, right? Some people don't even know that this goes on, but they come deliberately for beef because they know that when it's carnival, a whole heap of them are going to be on the road, right? The whole crew is on the road. The whole gang is there. And when I say the whole gang, you're talking 50, 60 young men, right? You're not talking 5 or 6. And you're talking tooled up with knives, guns, axes, everything, right?
You can't even look at them and see it.
And you can't see where those things are. Some of them you can see, they look like, you know, my man in his song, man's not hot.
Yeah.
You know, right?
and it's like that, and you're wondering why is he wearing that coat?
Yeah,
And he's hot, you know, and you just see them
It's
sweating,
like 30 degrees.
right? But they're not taking off that coat
No, they're
because
not.
they're carrying certain things.
So that's what that tune
Right?
was about.
And this is what I'm trying.
They
And
didn't
this is
even
what
get
I'm
it
trying to
today.
show you. That every year they come, and they come because they're coming with beef.
Yeah.
So now what happened last year
Recycle the same thing.
in
Yeah.
August, right? They decided now that they're bringing that beef and they're coming to deal with it properly. So in August of last year, the guys from Manchester came and they came ready.
Mm.
So the crew who my son belonged to, they also knew they were coming,
And they came ready too.
so they also came ready.
As usual.
Now, thank God for the spirit of discernment,
Mm.
because I didn't know any of this at the time, but my son was on probation at the time. Hey, Daniel. And I said to my son, you need to go home.
Close that day anyway.
Everywhere he went, I was following him.
Yeah, he was getting moldy about it.
And he was vexed. He's like, why is dad following me? But just the spirit of God in me.
Yeah, he needed to.
Everywhere he went, I followed him. And he doesn't even know how I turned up there. He saw him there. And I just stood there watching him. I didn't like, you know. And then I said to him in there, I said, you need to go home.
Yeah, he did.
And yeah, I'm going soon. And I found him again 15 minutes later. You need to go home. Yeah, I'm going. I said, no, go now.
Yeah, and then we left.
I said, goodbye, go.
Then Cookie.
You remember?
Yeah. Then Cookie said, oh, it's all right. I'll drop them home.
And thank God, because, okay, by then he's 18. He could have told me, don't tell me what to do, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Thank God for some respect. You know? Because I didn't have to try and squeeze him and drag him or whatever. You know? And he said, okay, and he went home.
Yeah.
Lo and behold,
as well, like he did.
and here's the thing, all of the crew, including him, knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? After he had gone, it was about 10 minutes after. Big commotion, everybody screaming and carrying on, blah blah blah, and then we hear what happened. The Manchester crew stabbed after one of the Leeds crew. I'm saying it like that because I don't want to give out gang names. Right? So the Manchester crew stabbed after one of the Leeds crew. One of the Leeds crew now, and next one stabbed the guy to death.
Yeah.
Right now, the two young men involved are in prison, awaiting trial. They were meant to be on trial this month, and they have set the trial back because of COVID. But both of the young men, one is 20 and the other one is 19. They're both in jail at the moment, waiting to see if they'll be convicted of murder.
Yeah.
Right, so they've not been sentenced yet, but they've both been charged with murder. Two young black guys. And this is what I'm talking about. That my son is part of that crew. Right? And they all knew what was going to happen. And nobody would stop it.
Yeah.
Nobody will go to the police and say, look, this is going to kick off and this is what's going to happen. And I don't know, maybe also, for me as a spiritual man, I could say now, in hindsight, God, why did you not let me see precisely what was going to happen before it happened, so I could have done something more? But I knew that something was happening.
Yeah.
I could feel it in my spirit, and that's why I told my son, you need to go home. And thank God he did, because had he been there, he would have been complicit, and he would have been arrested now as part of those for that murder, because that young guy is dead.
Yeah, really.
You see, but why am I saying all of this? I'm saying it because I'm trying to get people to understand that if we don't take the spiritual aspect of this up, and just, you know, or we need to put this program in place, and you know, we need to blame the police, they need to stop. You see, listen, as much as the police may get on my nerves,
They're not to
I
blame.
don't care. They are not to blame.
Yeah.
Because there's no policeman that told all of those guys to come to Carnival and carry all those knives with them,
Exactly.
right? And with the intention to use them the way they did. Now, that was 2019. Let me just give you a little synopsis so that you understand. That was 2019. The year before, I saw it right in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
I mean like this, I'm just looking like this, and I've seen them stab a guy with a knife, big like so, like that. This is what I'm saying. That was just the year before. 2 years before that was like there was
Something.
a demon of murder was released across the city.
100%. Fights.
And if you look on the internet, you'll see that year at the carnival, there's guys who have gone with sawn-off shotguns, and you can see them blasting a man
popping off every 5 minutes.
in his
Yeah,
chest.
there was
right in his
gunshots
chest.
every minute. You had to be running
Running up
then
and
there's-
down, boy.
You're just walking in the parade. There's fights. It's a prayer.
Yeah. You know.
So yeah. I don't know why, man.
Yeah, because we're old people. Of course, it's bigger.
Dear Heavenly Father, please, dear Heavenly Father, please give us divine intuitive favor and grace to deal with the complexities of the spiritual warfare that is upon our young men / people.
And it's from Pastor Daniel.
And it's from Pastor Daniel Brown.
Amen.
Amen. I agree.
And I am happy to use my son as an example, because I'm just saying the reality of what went on. We had to pray that God would lock him up, because I could see what was happening.
Yeah.
2016, a good friend of his, a crew member of his, was murdered. And it's been escalating up and up and up from since
then.
Right? Because then that's the whole thing. And then last year, another crew member was murdered. I went to the funeral, and I watched those guys there, the gang, because most of them were there. If you know who they are, you know.
Yeah.
And plus, you just have to look. And police were there. They weren't even low key. Police were all over the place, uniformed and plain clothes. And now you see, we talk about things like this, and people may look at it like, But this is an issue of big cities, of inner city crime and so forth. And there was like, I'm telling you, there was about 50, 60 of them there, of one gang, and 50, 60 of the other. And it was the ones who killed the other guy were the other gang, and they were also at his funeral. Imagine that. Because these are also people who are interconnected by family.
That's what it is.
And they all, it's like one lives up one end of the street, and the other lives at the other end of the street. So my man now, who they've killed, is part of a crew, and they're all there, and they're all like soldiers.
Yeah.
And I looked at them.
Yeah, that's what they were.
I looked at them, and I felt so sad, because you could see, and I've got to say this, and I'm saying this now as a preacher, but I'm going to say it. The guy who conducted the service, God knows, I stood there and I watched him, and I said, Jesus, if I could go up there and slap him in his face. And I'm not joking. What I say from my mouth, I mean it.
Yeah.
The man talked the biggest bunch of rubbish.
Yeah, I can imagine.
This is why.
Right? To try to appease.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the problem is.
And I said, no. And let me tell you,
them out.
there were hundreds and hundreds of young people at that funeral. The church was rammed out. It was a massive opportunity to speak directly to the heart of these issues. And he just stood there and talked a pile of junk.
Well, this is the problem.
The mother of the murdered young man came up there and chatted a whole bunch of rubbish.
Boring.
I don't know why this happened. And
Shut up.
I stood where I was, and I said, yes, you do.
Yeah.
I said, yes, you do. Stop lying.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. I don't know.
Yes,
My
you
son was
did.
just a peace. And I'm like, no, he wasn't a
No.
peaceful person. He was a gangbanger.
Yeah.
And you knew
Right?
what he was on.
And just a couple of weeks before, your son had
Better
tried to
just
murder
don't say
somebody.
nothing.
Listen, her son had tried to murder somebody,
Yeah,
and
that's
it,
what
and it
happened.
never worked. And as
And that's
retaliation,
what he got.
they said we're gonna done him, and they did.
Yeah.
And this is what
But
I'm
she's
saying
acting
to
like she
you.
don't know none of that.
My son
Please.
is part of that crew,
And people.
right? So when people are telling me, he thinks he's a bad man and he don't know, I'm like, you don't know.
You don't know.
And I'm telling them it's better you shut your mouth and leave him alone and stay away because you don't know. And you don't know what they're capable of and what they will do. You see?
No.
And this
That's
is
what they're not
He's,
getting.
he's more in charge than the rest. All he has to do is say what he feels.
But that's what I'm
they
saying.
send
They
him.
don't
Whoever, it
know.
doesn't have to be him.
They don't know. And I'm not saying it in a positive way.
No.
I'm saying that people need to open their eyes and let's start being real about what's really going on.
Yeah.
So my prayer for him became, God, put him in jail, take him off the road.
Yeah.
You see? Because at least,
Then.
even if what he's saying to us right now is not true, it cooled him off
Yeah.
for now. Right? Because at least he's saying, I'm done with that life. When I get out, I need to do this, I need to do that. We pray that that will be the case.
Yeah.
But my point is that for him, that was the intervention, go to
Yeah.
jail. Now you see some people, oh no, I don't want my child to go to jail, and I want them to turn around, and I want them to do this, and I want them to do that. Well, you need to know that sometimes they have to be removed from the situation and from the setting. That's it for a start. If they stay in the ends, as they call it, they're going to stay there with the same ends mentality,
Yeah.
right? And this is it.
See that there's more
And-
to life.
And people who are not looking at what really is going on in the ends, they don't have a clue what these guys can do and what they have been doing.
They don't know. They don't even know what's going on. And
Yeah.
if they do, maybe they have an idea, but they pretend that they don't know more, or they don't choose to find out more because ignorance is bliss.
And we've got to understand, because we spoke a couple of weeks, we've been speaking about what's going on a global scale, and we've talked about pedophiles and about ritual abuse and all these different things. You've got to understand that even at the gang level, one of the things that they use to drive what they do is abuse.
Yeah.
So, and this is the thing that we've got to understand it. You see, because now, for instance, I overheard a conversation a while ago between some young men who are part of a gang, and basically they were talking about one girl, and I didn't see them, so I don't know how many of them were, but I heard at least 4 different voices, 4 different male voices, and they were all talking about one girl. And these 4 guys, at least 4 that I could distinguish, I couldn't see them, but I could hear them talking about one girl, and all 4 of them have had this girl. All 4 of them have jumped on this girl. And the way how they were talking about the situation and about the girl, it's like she was, I don't even know what to, just a piece of meat. You see? And I said to myself, what in the world will cause these young men to be so nasty? And then I started having a look at other things and asking some questions around. And I'm saying this because a lot of people, maybe they don't really know what's going on in some of these settings. And there's 2 things that I picked up from my investigations about it. Number 1, it's an initiation on both sides. It's an initiation for the girl. If she wants to be part of the gang, for a lot of females, this is the initiation.
Yeah.
So many men in the crew must run a train on it, right? And you must take it. And for those who don't know what that language means, go Google and look, because I'm not gonna explain it for you.
You don't know, then you don't know.
Right? I'm not gonna explain it for you. Go Google it. right? But this is the reality. And the other side of it is that it's initiation for the guys, for them to be able to cold-heartedly do things. You see, without having your heart in it, you just do it. And this is what the initiation is for, to see that they can turn their spirit so that they can just do things cold-heartedly with no emotion, no feeling. And you know, when they're questioned about it, some of the answers that you get are unbelievable.
Yeah.
You'll ask these guys, so do you think there's anything wrong with it? You don't think that doing something like that is rape? No, it's not, because she knows what she was bargaining for, right? If she knows that she's going somewhere where there's a bag of man, why is she going there? Because from she knows that there's a bag of man there, why is she going there?
Because that's the same as, oh well, don't wear that because you might
see?
think it's bullshit.
But this is it, because you see, it's all about the initiation. And people are not understanding that that's the spiritual element that's behind this. You know, there are certain things that they do. And this is why then also, once they get into this gang culture, it's difficult for them to get out, because they've been initiated. So it now becomes a spiritual matter, as well as just a, you know, these are my blood. Because literally it is blood in, blood out.
Yeah.
If you know some of the things that they've done, that they'll send them to go and beat up somebody, draw blood, beat them up until you draw blood. It's all these kind of things. They'll lock them in the boot of a car and drive at 100 miles an hour with them locked in the boot of the car. All of these are part of the initiations, you see. And these are the things that we overlook. There's no initiation. Oh yes, there is.
Yeah, there is.
And there always is. And this is why these things then become spiritual. Because then you wonder, how can they so cold-heartedly be carrying some of the most dangerous, nasty-looking axes and knives? You know, we're talking samurai swords and all these things. How? This is the reason why. You see, all in the name of defending their ends. You want to say anything? It's heavy stuff, guys. It's heavy stuff. Because you see, I said, you know, that there's an identity crisis in the middle of all of this, because young people get caught up in this. But then it gets to a point where it overtakes them. You see, and once it starts overtaking them, it's a different story then.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when we start talking about the statistics of the police and what the police are doing, and the police are not, it doesn't really matter. They're not an issue, because the reality is what it is. If these guys were on the road behaving themselves, it wouldn't really make any difference whether the police stopped them or not. You know, wouldn't matter.
Because they wouldn't have the reason to do it.
I don't care if police stop me or not. I don't care.
That's what I'm saying.
Stop me. Because you won't find anything. Search me if you want to. I don't feel offended. I might not like it if they handcuffed me to do it, but you know, it's not the end of the world. And also, they probably wouldn't need to, because I also don't behave with any disruptive behavior when they meet me. I just speak to them quite calm, cool, and collected. But aside from that, let's not overlook the real issue, which is that they're being given a reason to behave like that because of what our young people are doing.
Yeah.
And how they actually are behaving, and because of this gang culture that is a real thing, that, you know, which is about them defending their ends, as they call it. And the reason why they're defending their ends is because of what they're actually doing there in the first place. And you see, not everybody is a Christian, so you can't expect Christian behavior from everybody. But we who are Christians, there are things that we can do and say. You see? And that's what we need to look at. I'm not only speaking to Christians anyway when I speak to these live. But obviously, a certain portion of what I'm saying specifically to Christians, that we must know what to say and how to say it. Because I couldn't just throw my hands up in despair and say, my God, my son's friends are dying around him, which literally that is the truth. His friends around him, people in his crew, people he's grown up with who are part of the same gang, have died. They have been murdered by rival gang members, and he's still living. So, and as he's still living and becoming older, and he's still part of the gang, then he starts to move up the order.
Yeah.
Because now the other ones who are older than him have died. So he now ends up with longevity, and he's still in touch with the other gang members who are in prison.
Yeah.
Because they're still part of the gang. They're just in prison, but they're still part of it. And they're still talking to them, they're still giving them advice, they're still mentoring them.
Yeah, they are.
You see?
Yeah.
And that's why those fathers who are out there running off their mouths but leaving their sons to be mentored by gangs and all these other, they need to shut up and go look for your son.
Yeah.
You know? Because those young men need to be mentored by correct men.
Yeah.
Not by reprobates.
Yeah.
But this is what is happening. That instead they're being mentored by reprobates.
Yeah.
You see?
That ain't even there.
So nobody's saying anything, because even okay, my own son has been far down this road to an extent, but he can't come and tell me any foolish rubbish because I questioned him about everything. And thank God that I know how to pray to put him in jail. You see, some people they don't know, they would be crying, God, I don't know what to do. I knew what to do.
Yeah.
I knew what to do. I knew what was needed. But we got to face the reality, because all these mothers, and especially the mothers, who are out there busy saying, "Oh, my son is a good boy," and you know damn well your son is not a good boy. He's a little demon, and you know it. And you're saying that he's a good boy. You need to stop that. You need to stop it. You know that they're horrible, and you're not speaking the truth.
Enabling, mate.
Yeah.
It's the truth that will make you free, not the lies. Stop the lies. Face the facts. Face the reality. But I can't call the police on my own child. Why not? Please explain why not.
Why?
Because I'm still waiting for the answer, and there's none.
There is none.
Me, I can call the police on that. Happening, if necessary. Right?
Why, if we did decide to ever be, I wouldn't be telling Dad or my mum. Do you know what I mean? But it's what Dad is saying is the truth, because she's put her details at the bottom. She's put the organization's details. If anybody needs help or wants to talk or whatever. But I was saying that, you know, it's the truth in what Dad is saying about people need to stop all this coddling these little nasty people who are doing all these horrible things, and you even know what they're doing, and they're bringing things to your yard. You know, they're bringing things back home, or they've even got things at the house, and you know that they're there, but you're just enabling them and you're not saying anything. That wouldn't be happening around here. Because like I said, if I ever wanted to do something, there's no way I am telling Mum, Dad,
he's not helping,
or any of the step parents. It's not happening.
They're not
because
helping.
Even if my stepmom or my stepdad, they're a bit more discreet. So maybe if I told them something, they might not go and call the police. But they're going to tell the mum or the dad. So there's no point telling them anything. And then the mum and the dad are calling the police.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because if you care about your child and what they're doing, you will do things. It's the same as discipline. Prison is just adult discipline at the end of the day. And if your child is not listening to your own discipline, well, then it has to be another discipline, doesn't it? Because it's either that or things just get worse. And when things just get worse, as we've already discussed, look what happens. Young boys are dead. or they're in hospital, or they're getting sent to jail because they've even killed someone or they've done something, or maybe they're not even fully involved, but because they're involved in a small essence, then they're involved and that's it. And they can't talk because if they talk, they're dead. So then it must be, oh, you must go to jail on someone else's account because you're not allowed to talk or you're not allowed to tell. These are the issues that we're facing with this gang business, yeah. And the gang thing is serious, and for years now, it's just got worse and worse and worse.
I'm coming back.
It's just got worse and worse and worse, and it seems like to me, no one is really dealing with it on a serious level. I think a lot of the times, the people that only really seem to want to deal with it are people that come from that narrative. So say maybe they've done all their gang banging, they've done their drug dealing, they've done everything, and then they've gone to jail for murder, whatever, could be anything, stabbing someone, drug dealing, whatever. Basically gang life. So they've gone to jail for gang life, and then they've decided, this is not what I want anymore. This is not what I want to do anymore. I want to change.
Sometimes it's too late, though.
Yeah. So maybe they come out and they'll, talk to people, talk to other young people, and try to help them. But what they're not getting is that, I'm not saying that somebody who's been in that position can't help somebody like that. What I'm trying to say is that it's not only up to them. They can't be the only ones to try and tell people, oh, there's a better way to life. Because some of them roadmen are very stubborn. It's like it's a thing with them.
But some of them, most of them.
Yeah, most of them, in fact, are very stubborn. And I think if you were to tell them, oh yeah, I used to be drug dealing and everything, but I changed my life. Some of them, all they will tell you is good for you. Bye bye. And that's it. And they're not interested in hearing that anymore. And why? Because you're you're the same as them, so they're not interested. Shut up, basically. Yeah, and that's why it can't just be left down to these people that are reformed roadmen. Because they're really and truly, yeah, you're reformed roadman. All you have done is change your actions. You haven't changed who you are as a person. So how can you educate another person who's grown up in the same situation as you, the same area maybe? How do you educate them to tell them go a different path when you did not go that path yourself? The only thing you can teach them is that once things do get bad, then there's another road. That's all it is to me. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. We all need to be taking that responsibility to try and reform our community. And we've been saying this over these past few videos, the same thing. Yeah, you see, prevention is better than cure. They need to be taught before it happens. That's exactly the truth to me. Because, like I said, there's many issues that are not getting dealt with. And this has been going on in our community for a long time. Not even just as black people, but as in a community where it's more, mixed society, or there's less money in that community, etc. The problem is there, and it's been there, and it's not even just in England, it's all over the world. Which is what I was saying before about Brazil, Portugal, all them places. And people are no one's dealing with it. I think everybody's just, oh yeah, it was gangs. He died from gangs.
And then that's
under the carpet, and that's the end of the discussion. There's no who did it, what happened, why are these boys doing it, who else is involved. None of these things happen. The only ones who's doing it is the police, and they only care to just get them locked up. They don't actually care about prevention or helping them or supporting them. They just want to get them locked up, and that's it. That's all I got to say.
There we go. Plug it in. Now,
it'll be alright. It won't last.
I know
It lasts.
that when we do these lives, sometimes we talk a lot, and that's because they get that from me. And sometimes, like now we're going close to 2 hours, we're going to finish around 2 hours because it's long. But the topic has been seriously heavy.
Yeah.
And maybe we will at times come back and be a bit shorter and do it in snapshot. But I think people who
Even the mic is tired.
Yeah, exactly. People who want to watch it, they'll watch whatever parts they want to watch, and they can come back to it and so forth. Because we do share a lot of information, and we do have a lot to talk about. But there's one thing that I do want to say before we close. In terms of, we've kind of defined the issue of defending the ends, what that means, who it is that's doing it, how they're doing it. But what I want to talk about now, which we will probably pick up on this next time, is the enabling families and the enabling mothers. What I mean by that is this, that we did say before about those who refuse to grasp on their, their young people when they're committing crimes. They don't want to call police on them and stuff like that. That's fine. You're stupid. And, your people are going to suffer, and you are going to suffer.
That's the truth.
And that's fine. But it's not just about the fact that you don't want to call the police on them when they've committed a crime, because to me, there's no in between. Crime is crime. And if police need to be involved, they need to be involved.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the enabling, which starts at a much earlier age. I did mention before, I said that you've got some of these mothers who say, oh, I don't know, my son is a lovely young man, and he's not, he's a demon. And now here's what I want to say, because this is what I want to look at and address, and there's a lot that we can say about this. Because for those who want to look at spiritual legacies, and when I say spiritual, I don't just mean from a Christian perspective, understanding spiritual in that sense. I mean even what's in your DNA. And maybe next time we will talk about how things can be patterned into your DNA, which will then drive your behavior.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to say about that now before we close, just to leave something maybe to annoy the enabling mothers, because you won't like what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And others will say, yes, it's true, but whichever way, it's cool, I'm saying it. These mothers who think that their little Johnny is really nice and he's a demon from hell, spawned literally from Satan. And they really know that, but they pretend that he isn't. They're never going to help him until they realize and start saying who he is and what he is.
Yeah.
Right? So every time when that little boy was growing up, and then maybe your daddy wasn't there, so you start bad mouthing the daddy. You don't want no man to tell you anything. Men are rubbish, men are useless, blah blah blah. But you're growing a little man. So that means if men are useless and men are rubbish, you're growing a waste man.
Yeah.
Remember that.
I think I posted one of them memes on Facebook.
Right? So you're growing a little waste man because men are rubbish and men are useless. And you're chatting all the time that your son is the king, your son is Prince Charming, but every other man is a button. Right? Well, something is wrong.
Of course.
Because you're growing a waste man.
Yeah.
So now he gets to a certain age now where seeing you don't have no respect for anybody and you don't want anybody to tell you anything. He also doesn't have any respect for anybody and doesn't want anybody to tell him anything.
Yeah.
I told a friend of mine recently, you need to deal with your son, the little boy and his rank. Don't have even a stitch of manners. So she was like, well, I clap him. I said, no, clapping him up is not what I'm talking about, right? And again, for anybody who doesn't know what I mean by clapping him up, go and Google it. I'm not helping you because I'm not saying anything. Those of you who know what I mean by when I say they're clapping him up, you know what I mean. It is fine, but clapping up your child is not only what I'm talking about. Sometimes that will help, but that alone is not the issue. It's about understanding who that child is and how you're going to steer them where they should be. You see? Because that's why the Bible says in Proverbs 22 and verse 6, train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Yeah.
Right? Start the training and don't let them be training you. There's too many parents, too many enabling mothers with your little rank spawn of hell that you are not praying over that child and casting out those demons
Yeah.
before they can begin to grow bigger. You see? And this then becomes a problem. Because when children are of a certain age, we can drive out the demons with some claps and some licks and a stick. When they get to a certain age, that one doesn't work anymore.
No.
Then you're going to need to have something else. But believe you me, if you don't curb the demons, they will grow.
Yeah.
And don't believe, oh, my child is different because you say he's different. Yours is probably worse because you say he's different.
Yeah, it's usually
Because
that
you've
one.
enabled him. All right, so that's where I'm going to stop just with that, saying that the enabling mothers cause a lot of this problem because they are the ones who cause that young man to have an identity crisis. You see? Because also, when he's in the house and he's there with mummy, he's the king of the world. Right? Then he goes on the road and he tries that with somebody
And it don't work.
and with a big man and he gets a big fist in his lips. You see? And then he realizes that he's not, oh, look what they've done. And then he goes back now, he's got to go and get a knife to come and deal with that one in front of him in his mouth.
Yeah.
Enabling mothers, deal with the demons in your children. We'll come next week and we'll carry on from that point. God bless. Goodbye.
Bless everyone.
I always go to touch the screen on this.